Guys, coming into me another movie for guys, continuing my 31 days of horror movie reviews. This is day 7, although I know it should be day 9. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to make up for that this weekend. I have a lot of time to just watch a bunch of horror movies because I have a 3-day weekend, which is awesome. So I'll try to get some out for you guys then. So definitely look forward to that. I've tried to stay consistent this week, haven't really gotten a chance to, so sorry about that. This probably will happen further down the road, but I will make sure that there are 31 movies reviewed by the end of this month. I will make sure that happens, because I keep my promises. But, this movie I'm very excited to be reviewing. I was going to watch this last night, didn't get a chance to, so I watched it today, and I'm very happy I did, because this is a movie where, if you had to give me a list of the top horror movies that I want to see the most that I haven't seen, this would definitely be very high on the list. I don't know if it'd be number 1, but it would definitely be very high on that list. This is a movie that I was definitely looking forward to. I heard amazing things about it, and that is the 2002 psychological horror, I'm going to say classic, because I really feel this movie will end up being a classic, and that is The Ring. The Ring, yes, I did get this from my library, like many other movies I will review to you guys, but like I said, this is a movie I was definitely really looking forward to. I've heard amazing things about it, and I was definitely hoping it would be something great, and it really is a great movie. I absolutely love The Ring. I think it's a great movie overall. It definitely is one of the best of the 31 Days of Horror movie reviews I have watched for you guys. It is scary, but it also has a lot to say, and that's something I definitely really like, and there are a lot of things I definitely really love the movie did. Which this is also the first remake of a Japanese movie, first American horror remake of a Japanese movie, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because after this, all the other ones following it would pretty much be shit. They really were not very good at all. But I was definitely, this movie is great, and let's get to the plot of it, which is pretty simple. I'm pretty sure you guys know the plot to The Ring, but in case you guys don't, I am going to say what the plot is. Basically, there is this tape that after you watch it, supposedly you only have 7 days left to live, and you don't really know why this is going on, and Naomi Watts' character, Rachel's son, Aiden, he basically has just had a friend that has died because she watched this tape, so basically Rachel decides to watch it for herself. She gets the call, and as time goes on, more and more people start to get the call, and after finding out a bit more about it, she basically wants to find out how she's connected to this, why this is going on, and basically how to stop it, and basically find a way for her to not die, and that basically is the plot of The Ring, which I think is an awesome plot. Just the plot itself is very compelling. That's one of the main reasons why I want to watch the movie. I mean, the plot itself sounds very scary. Definitely sounds very scary, and it is very scary, and I have to say, something I definitely do like about the movie, though, is the acting is fantastic. It is amazing acting overall. I think everyone really gives an amazing performance in this movie. Everyone does a fantastic job. There really isn't a bad person in this cast, and I really do love that. And, of course, our main star here is Naomi Watts, who is incredible in this movie as Rachel. I really love Rachel's character. The way she's just destined to get answers. The second that she finds out this is going on, she wants to do whatever she can to get answers, to obviously help out her son, but also find out why this is happening to all these people. And the way she goes about this, I definitely really like. Rachel is in no way a dumb character. She's very smart. She very much understands what's going on. That's kind of the character that I love. You know, it kind of gets rid of that cliche of just dumb horror movie characters. I will talk about it. There's something very interesting that this movie does that I am going to talk about that I definitely really did like, and I'll get to that when we get to the screenplay. But I thought she did an amazing job in this movie. I really liked her investigation in the movie. But you also see this emotion she's going through. You know, she does not have the best relationship with her son. He's very calm about things, but the thing about him is that he is so calm to the point where he doesn't even call her mom. He calls her Rachel. He doesn't have the best relationship with her. She wants to find out what's going on there, and I definitely really like her character. She did a very good job, and I thought overall she was great, especially toward the end. She had this amazing scene, and she did an amazing job. Martin Hendelson, as well as Noah, who plays Rachel's ex-boyfriend, Noah, was also really good. He's not in the movie as much as Rachel, but he definitely did a very good job. You could tell how determined he was to solve this mystery, figure out what was going on, and he's just as scared as Rachel, and things really take a turn when he also watches the tape, which is not a spoiler. You pretty much expect them. That's because that's really when the plot starts going, is when he actually starts to watch the tape, and you don't really know what's going to happen, and I really like that mystery. He did a very good job, and he had this one scene toward the last half of the film. one of the best scenes in my opinion by far. I thought he was incredible. He did a great job, and he just kind of wants answers like pronto. Like the two of them are very different. She kind of wants to be gradual with it. He wants answers like now. He wants to know what's going on, why it's happening, and what he can do about it. And it's not that easy, but it seems like he's just so determined to get answers, and you can tell he wants to. Now, David Dorfman, I really commend this actor because a lot of child actors are very loud, they're very annoying, and they're not very good actors. For example, watch my American Horror Story Hotel review. There is a girl in that named Scarlett, and she's probably the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. But this guy, this little boy did a great job, because like I said, he's so calm throughout the movie. It's almost kind of scary. Never once does this, little boy actually act like a child. He acts like an adult. He's so calm, maybe even more calmer than Rachel at points, and I really commend that for his role. There's not one point in this movie where he's not calm about it, and you want to know why this is happening and why he's so calm. It's probably because just the atmosphere he's in and things like that. I thought he did definitely a very good job, and I really enjoyed his character overall. He was fantastic. Also, the two girls that were in the beginning of this movie actually do have something to do in this movie. Not too much, but they definitely did a very good job, and I thought they were really good as well, which I'll get to those two girls. There's something very interesting they do with these two girls that I definitely really liked, and I will talk about that. But, of course, I have to talk about DeVay Chase as Samara. Okay. Going into this movie, reason I was so scared is because most people say that Samara, they don't get scared by horror movies, but Samara is something that terrified them the most. And, a lot of people, and I'm talking about people that say they don't get scared of horror movies here. They got terrified of Samara. They didn't want to see Samara, it scared them so much. And I was definitely interested in seeing how terrifying Samara was, and holy shit was she terrifying. I mean, just the fact that a little girl is saying all these things and doing all these things, you want to know what's going on here, and they did a very good job with the mystery of her character as well. She has a really great character background. There's some great stuff with her character, and there's a fantastic twist with her character toward the end as well that I definitely really like, not that they did a very good job with, and was also not cliche at all, which I will definitely talk about. I thought she did an incredible job, and yes, she was very creepy. She was very creepy. She was very disturbing, and you just couldn't figure out what's going on with her. Eventually, you realize what's going on with her, and it's pretty terrifying what's happening to her, but she did an amazing job, and I thought she was great. Everyone else in the movie was fantastic as well. I overall thought the cast was perfect, and I really didn't have a problem with anyone. The directing here is by Gore Verbinski, who I believe is the same person that directed the Japanese horror remake. Now, the Japanese horror, the original movie Ring, which I don't know if I'll check out. Maybe I'll check out sometime. No, it's actually not the same director. But Gore Verbinski, he was the person that started to do these remakes and everything, and I thought he did a commendable job here, definitely. He didn't do the other remakes. He did the first three Pirates of the Caribbean films. He also did The Lone Ranger and Rango, but I thought he did a really good job with this movie, definitely. You could tell he could tell what the tone of this movie needs to be. He needed the dark tone to really be in there, and I definitely really liked his directing to this movie. And the way he makes this, not like other horror films, is very interesting. I'll talk about this with the writing, but I thought he definitely did a very good job, and his directing really was very good to this movie. It's very dark, it's very mysterious as well, and just the plot alone, it's very scary, and that's something I definitely really like. That's something I definitely do want to say about the screenplay right off the bat. This movie is scary. It's not just scary in the terms of images. Obviously, what we're seeing on these videotapes, yeah, it's pretty terrifying. The images we see are really scary. They're really, terrifying. That's scary. But I found this movie more of a psychological scary. I found it to be a lot scarier in the sense of, why is this happening? How can you get out of this? Who are they coming after next? Why are they coming after my family? Why is this happening to us? It's terrifying to think about. This little girl, you keep getting phone calls on your phone. You keep realizing the next day you wake up, oh, I only have a certain amount of days to live. You keep realizing that your death might be coming, and I definitely thought they did a very good job of that in the movie. The screenplay was very well written, and something I actually really loved about this movie. A lot of people complain about the first scene in this movie. I honestly think it's one of the best opening scenes I've ever seen to a horror film, and I'll tell you guys why. The opening scene to this movie makes you think you're getting into something completely different than you are. Honestly, if you were to watch the Scary Movie 3 opening and the Ring opening, they're not that different, and I noticed that. They're not very different. Scary Movie 3 is obviously more over the top, and I don't really like Scary Movie 3, but the opening is pretty good, I will say that. But the thing I like about the opening of this movie is that you think you're getting into a much dumber movie than you do, because it's as dumb as you can imagine. It's cliched, it's two teenagers who have nothing better to do, they know that there's this tape. One is denying that it's not true, there's no way that can happen, It just feels you know where this is going right from the start. After this scene, though, the movie completely changes because then we realize they're actually going to focus on Rachel's character, and that's when the movie decides to completely change, and I definitely commend the film for that. It's something that I didn't expect them to do, and I really like that they did. I definitely really liked how they decided to basically, mess with you and make you think this is going to be one way, but actually goes in a completely different direction. The movie is never typical horror. It's actually much more psychological, and it's never in your face. I don't ever feel this movie ever did too much. In fact, it's very, very slow paced. It's very dialogue driven, surprisingly, as well. A lot of the movie is based on information, but it's something else I like that they don't throw all this information in your face at once. You're as lost as she is. However, some people have complained that first scene does give away what the videotape does and like how it is and things like that. And I would agree with that, but I think it also sets the tone for this perfectly because we don't need that mystery. We don't need the mystery of what this tape does. We just don't need that because we know what the tape does, and that's sort of why it's as terrifying because the second she puts in that tape, you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen to her? And that's something I thought they did very well, and I definitely really enjoyed it. And I know people have complained about it, but I honestly think that's just nitpicking the film. If you did not like the beginning to this movie, I don't think you got the movie as much because it's trying to show that, no, we're not this kind of movie. We're not going to do this. You think we're going in this direction. We're actually not going in this direction. I definitely really like that. I also liked how those two girls actually stayed a part of the story, which made sense because they obviously were affected by what happened. One of them died, I think, the other one to a mental hospital, but I liked how they weren't as big as a part of the story, but they still were in the story, and that's understandable because they were affected by this, and a lot of horror movies don't do that. They open up with two people, they both get killed, and that didn't happen here. They spared one of them and the other died, and I really, really like that. I know it's just a little subtle difference, but it actually does make a huge difference here because you're going from a character that could have been very one note and done nothing in the movie to a much stronger character than you essentially think the movie's going to be, and I definitely really do love that. If you don't like the first scene in this movie, like I didn't, because I was like, what the hell am I watching? The first scene in this movie feels very like a teen horror movie, and then it's not at all, and I definitely really commend the movie for doing that. But definitely that was very well done. Also, the plot twist to this movie is absolutely fantastic. I didn't see it coming at all. I definitely really loved it, and like I said, they do a great job of keeping you on the edge of your seat. The movie knows how to deal with tension very, very well, and I definitely really love that. It's a movie that is just building and building and building as it goes on, and that's something I thought they did in a fantastic way. The cinematography is some of the most creepiest visually stunning, but also visually terrifying imagery I've seen. I mean, I can understand why people are traumatized with this movie because for 2002, this was pretty fucking scary. I mean, at the time, yeah, I know it might not be as impressive now because there are other creepier things, but I think it is just as impressive because the imagery is just amazing. It's amazing to look at. It really feels like this is a real videotape and that this is out there. And they did a very good job with showing that. And Samara especially, I mean, you take one look at her, you are bound to be scared. I mean, just looking at her, you can tell that it's just, you're very scary and you're throwing me off here. And the second you meet her, you can tell there's something that's going to be happening with her. And then you realize it's a child. That's what scared me even more. The fact this is a little girl saying all these things, it's very creepy. But it's also creepy in the sense that it's just, why is this happening? That's really what I found most creepy is why are we seeing this? Why is this happening? Why are people, what does this have to do? How is Samara's story connected to them? And that's something I definitely really liked and thought that was definitely very well done. And I really enjoyed that. And I thought they did a very good job with that. The score to this movie as well is very good. It's very suspenseful. It's very threatening. And I thought they did a very good job with the score. The editing as well, like I said, the movie is quite slow paced. It takes about 45 minutes for the actual plot of this movie to start, and I was completely fine with that, honestly, because we needed to tell this story in the best way we could, and I was into it the entire time. There really wasn't one part where I wasn't into this movie. I thought it was extremely compelling and extremely grasping, and I definitely really love that. But the twist of this movie, I definitely do want to talk about because it's an incredible twist. If you guys have not seen The Ring, don't watch this review. I am going to talk about the twist real quick because I think it's a fantastic twist, and Please watch this movie. It's very unconventional from other horror movies you've seen. You might think it's going in one direction, but it really doesn't, and it's very different than that. They are making a second. They did make a second one, which I will never watch. I will never ever watch the second movie ever. And they're also making a movie called Rings, which apparently is a prequel to this movie, which I think is interesting. So that could be interesting as well. But I think they could have stopped at one. They didn't need a second one really. I think they could have just stopped at one. But let's get to the twist of this movie, which I think is very well done. So, the whole movie, they're making you think that Samara is this girl that was tortured and that she had a reason for doing all these evil things and that Rachel was supposed to help her. That's why Rachel feels she was connected, because she was the one that was supposed to help her. But then she realizes that Samara actually is truly evil and that she wasn't actually the one that was supposed to die. And the scene, of course, where Noah died is so sad. It's very hard to watch, and you don't expect for him to be the one to die in this movie, which is something else that I found very well done, because you expect for Rachel or Aiden to die, but Noah dies, and that's what I found very surprising. It's like the least possible person that you think is going to die, and I really enjoyed that, because horror movies are very predictable in terms of death, and this movie really wasn't ever that predictable, and I found that to be very well done. I definitely really like that. But what really surprised me is the twist that Samara truly is evil. She is a terrible person, that the reason that her parents were so upset that she was born is because she basically is just torturer, basically, and she really is evil, and that Rachel basically realized this was the only way to save Aiden, that she had to spare Noah in order to save Aiden, and that she didn't die because she actually copied the tape, which I know some people could think is a cop-out, but I thought was very well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that, and it was cool to actually have a movie where the heroine doesn't die. You know, you would think that the heroine does die, but she doesn't die. She makes it out of this, and it didn't seem possible, but she did it, and the ending where Aiden asks, you know, who they're going to show it to, she knows what's going to happen. She knows the more and more people that's going to happen to, and that they can't stop it, and even though she thinks she stopped it for them, there are going to be more people that it gets affected by this, and basically that's how the movie ends. I thought that was perfect, and it really was a very realistic ending in terms of, you know, I also said the movie is very realistic. It very much knows what it is, and that's something I definitely really enjoyed, and I thought the ending just really made what the movie was trying to do even clearer than it was. You know, the movie was already saying that we're not like other horror films, we're trying to do something different, and the ending really succeeded with that very well, because like I said, it's very different than other horror movies where pretty much everybody dies. There's only about a few deaths in this movie, and they're both huge, but they happen when they need to happen. They don't happen randomly. They don't happen at weird times. They happen when it's necessary. They happen when it needs to happen, and that's something I definitely really admired, because so many horror films nowadays, they just have deaths and they're not necessary, and this movie wasn't like that at all, and I really enjoyed that. And definitely, guys, if I were to give The Ring, I would definitely give it a 4.5 out of 5 or an A. I think it is a fantastic horror movie. It is one of the best horror movies that I've watched in 31 Days of Horror by far. It honestly probably is in my top horror movies, and definitely one of the best horror remakes we've ever seen, definitely. There really hasn't been a Japanese horror remake better than The Ring, because after that we had The Grudge, Dark Water, Pulse, One Missed Call. I mean, just awful. I mean, not awful, but I just heard they're not very good. The Grudge I might check out sometime. It's an interesting plot, but I'm very happy that this movie was made into an American film, because this is fantastic, and it's great that it turned out as well as it did, because we have at least one film that we can say that actually turned out to be a great remake, and that's something I think is fantastic. And I understand also, before I end, I do want to say, I do understand why movies from Japanese get remade as American, because they want Americans to be able to see it, and they might not want to, you know, not everyone wants to watch subtitles. I can understand that, and that makes sense why they had to turn to an American film. I totally understand that. But that's just my review of The Ring. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys saw this movie, you have seen it. I absolutely love this movie, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Girl Meets World, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.